Well, I hope it's not too early to start congratulating Arsenal for winning the 2025-2026 Premier League title. But of course, maybe let me rephrase my statement. We should start cautiously congratulating Arsenal for winning the 2025-2026 Premier League title. Welcome to another edition of Sport Hangout, where we give you the latest coming from the ever-busy world of sports. My name is Toby, and I want to talk about the title charge in the Premier League. There was a twist over the weekend. Interesting matches in the English Premier League. Twist over the weekend. Arsenal defeated Everton by 2-0. It was a tough game for the Gunners. They scored their first goal in the 89th minute through substitute Victor Gyökeres. And of course, Max Doma became the youngest Arsenal player to score a Premier League goal by scoring the second goal for Arsenal. That was the game played around 6:30 p.m. Nigerian time on Saturday. Of course, that put pressure on Manchester City, and then Arsenal extended their gap at the top of the Premier League table to 10 points before Manchester City gets to play against West Ham United at the Olympic Stadium. Now, after Arsenal defeated Everton, it was a no-brainer. Manchester City were expected to beat West Ham United to keep pace with Arsenal, who are top of the Premier League table. But just like what happened 2 weeks ago, Manchester City dropped point again against a relegation-threatening West Ham. And I've always been saying it, that if you are chasing the Premier League title, this is not the time to play against a team that is threatened by relegation. 2 weeks ago, Nottingham Forest came to the Etihad Stadium and they got a point off Manchester City. It ended 2-2. And of course, the same thing happened yesterday at the Olympic Stadium in London. West Ham United edged Manchester City to a 1-0 draw. 2 points drop for Manchester City once again. Now, the result means one thing. It means that though Arsenal played a game more than Manchester City, they are now 9 points ahead of Manchester City. So, it's tough right now. Pep Guardiola does not even understand what is happening. And there is just 7-8 games remaining to the end of the season. So, let's do a bit of permutation and calculation. Now, let's start with the worst case scenario for Arsenal. Because Man City do have a game in hand against Crystal Palace. Let's assume that they win that game. They beat Crystal Palace. They will reduce that gap to just 6 points. And also remember that Manchester City will host Arsenal at the Etihad Stadium on the 12th of April. Let's even say they beat Arsenal. Then they will reduce the gap to 3 points. Even with that, that's the worst case scenario for Arsenal. The best case scenario, even if Manchester City beat Arsenal at the Etihad Stadium, Arsenal will still be ahead by 3 points. And at that time, we'll have just 3-4 games left to the end of the season. So realistically, Arsenal are the favourites to win the Premier League title. So Manchester City will need Arsenal to slip before they can win the Premier League title, because they have been dropping too many points. They dropped 2 points at home to Nottingham Forest, dropped 2 points at home to West Ham United over the weekend, and right now they are playing just catch-up football to Arsenal. So that's for Manchester City. That's the best case scenario. That's if they beat Crystal Palace in their standing game and they beat Arsenal, they reduce the gap to just 3 points. And at that particular time, anything is possible. But now, objectively, do you think that this current Manchester City team can beat Arsenal at the Etihad Stadium? They'll be very poor. They have a game in the Champions League on Tuesday. I'm very sure Pep Guardiola will be thinking about, hey, Remontada, maybe Real Madrid can slip up. But do you realistically expect Man City to progress to the next stage of the Champions League? So, in the next 6-7 days, City could lose practically 2 trophies. Right now, they are far behind Arsenal in Premier League title charge. And then next week, Sunday, they play against Arsenal in the final of the Carabao Cup. So, not the best of times for Pep Guardiola and Manchester City. They dropped 2 points over the weekend to West Ham United. And right now, they are playing catch-up football. Let's move to Arsenal Football Club. Now, that victory for Arsenal, fantastic victory. 2-0 against Everton. Everton came with a game plan to sit back yesterday, more like a low block against Arsenal Football Club. But Victor Gyökeres and Max Doma scored in the last 2-3 minutes of the game to give Arsenal that 2-0 victory. But I must say at this point that Arsenal have not won the Premier League title. Let me say it again. Arsenal have not won the Premier League title. Realistically, mathematically, Manchester City, they are still in this title. The Premier League title is very interesting. There will be twists and turns. So if Arsenal becomes complacent and they start dropping points, Manchester City can take advantage. But if you look at the remaining fixtures for Arsenal, they are still going to play at home to Newcastle United. They are playing away to West Ham, the same West Ham that got a point off Manchester City over the weekend. They are still playing against Bournemouth too at the Emirates Stadium. So they still have some tough games on paper before the end of the season. For Manchester City, well, it doesn't get easier for City. Apart from the fact that they are facing Arsenal in the Carabao Cup final, they will still face Arsenal at the Etihad Stadium. Chelsea will host Manchester City. That's the next Premier League game for Manchester City. So, and for Chelsea, I mean, you don't know what to expect from Chelsea. Manchester City is still going to play against Aston Villa. So, there is still a lot to play for. But at this moment, we can start cautiously, start congratulating Arsenal for winning the Premier League title. Do you think that there will be a twist to the Premier League title? Only time we tell. Arsenal top of the Premier League table right now, 9 points ahead of Manchester City. But let me say it again, Manchester City have a game in hand. On the next time that we are going to meet, I remain Toby. But don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. And of course, we'll be very happy to hear from you. Thank you.